Eyes down for the Good afternoon, folks. It's Monday and I've been cracking on. The first thing I did was made the little lever handle for the quick back, or whatever it's called, the two post withdrawal, and that's absolutely fine now. The second thing I did was, after a quick email with John, found the hole straight away. Of course there was nothing in it, which is why if I'd just pulled the thing in the first place it would have come straight out, but I found a little Allen screw that I can pop in it, so that's fixed. What else have I done? I have fixed and set the two pins. I've moved these sides off just to neaten them up a bit and they look a lot better. I've decided not to bother with the front. It's really not worth it. I'm just going to draw file that just to neaten up a bit. And then I've been working on this, and what I'm just about to do is to put this in the milling machine vise and mill off that damaged part, because it's not doing any good and it's not going to be easy to repair. So I think what the best thing to do with that is just to mill it away and neaten it up. That one's fine. Just mill it away square, leave a bit to the net. I don't actually know what these are for. Travel stops. Is there anything they would stop on? I suppose you could put something in there. I don't know. It looks like, from what I've seen on the net of John's lathe, he's got a thread in here with a big nailed screw on it. I don't think this is original. I think this. I mean, all these holes in here have been put in. These are all tapped Whitworth. I've cleaned these out. These are BSF, of course, with them being standard, but they're all where various things have been bolted to it. What can you do? Well, I might have some Whitworth good screws that might fit. No, they're too big. There's one. I might just, yeah, there's one. I might just order up some Whitworth Allen grub screws, just to fill the holes up, just to stop them getting completely bunged up with cuttings. Yeah, there's another one. So I have got a few. Yes, I've actually got 3 or 4. I'll see what I've got, but they fit, and they'll just stop cuttings disappearing down the holes into the slide. Right, I shall go and get this set up and mill it off. I'll bring you back in a bit. Bye now. There we go, folks. Little bit of milling for you, but I forgot that I actually went across the workshop to get my safety goggles and not to get my camera, but never mind, you've seen a bit now. I'll show you a bit more in a minute. And there we go. Job jolly well done. Right, I'll bring you back in a minute and show you it. I'm not going to go right down there. There's no point. It's just a bit damaged. It looks a lot better now. See you in a moment. Right folks, Monday 5 o'clock. What have we got done? Well, I don't know if I showed you this after I'd soldered the pin in, but it fits perfectly. I'm really pleased with that. This had loads of sharp edges all over it and was binding all over the place. But as you can see, I've made the new spindle for it, put a knob on it. I've got it all freed off now. I've polished all the surfaces where they fit together, and it's working really well. So that's more or less ready for assembly. I milled the side off this. I draw filed the front. That's improved that no end. And I cleaned it all up, and I think that's really ready to go back on. I might have to, at final assembly, before I finally assemble, I might have to just ease the Allen screw holes for the heads in here, because it seems to go a bit tight. I thought it was the threads that was tight, but it's not. I've had taps down there and they're fine. So that's ready to go back together. Then I sort of lost control when I was milling this, and I thought, why don't I just get a piece of round bar and mill the bottom off it and fit it in there. And then I thought, if you can find a ball nose miller or even a little square miller, you can mill that away and drop the piece of round bar in as it is, and then possibly some little tack braces, on it. Just braze it in. I'm a little bit reluctant because I don't want to put too heat into this, because it's had holes drilled in it all over the place, and when castings get holes drilled in them and get messed about with and then heated up, they tend to move. But we shall see what we shall see. I might just fit that into there, tap it, clamp it, tap it, and then bond it in with some cold bond of some sort. It's only for aesthetics, and then I'll just mill right across the front of it so that we lose most of the damaged stuff. But it'll look a hell of a lot better than it did. It looked bloody awful, that piece. It's the sort of repair that's evolved as I did it. Anyway, there we go. Oh, I've fixed this as well. I found a little Allen screw that pops in there, and that was all sharp edges and knocked about, and that's now fitted perfectly. And I've cleaned up the register as well. Right, that's it for today, folks. I'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, it might be an idea to tidy the bench up. Right, bye now. So folks, Tuesday, and I've just finished giving this a thorough clean. A thorough cleaning, and then I've degreased it with 99.9% alcohol. And here's my Belzona repair compound, and here's my glass mixing panel, and here's my spatulas. And I was just about to mix it when my daughter rang up and said, "Dad, can you come and get me? I've got a migraine." So I've got to go and pick her up from school. So that was Tuesday. This job's going to now get done tomorrow, and I shall carry on with something else. I've cleaned the entire saddle, not just this surface, but you can see now. I think you can see if I can get you in the right light. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I want to fill. I don't necessarily want to build it up at all, but I want to fill those striations because they are severe. There's also that deep score mark in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to repair that surface first, and if I've got any over, I might put a little bit in there, in that end, because it's worn out at that end. Right, and just see if I can fill that little crack. Well, I don't know what it is. It's like a huge deep scour actually. I'm gonna have to degrease it all again tomorrow anyway. Anyway, chaps, that was blimey. That was Tuesday, so I'm now going to cover this up with a piece of white cloth and go and pick number 2 daughter up from school with a thumping headache. Okay, see you all later. See you tomorrow for Wednesday's fun and games. First job. Promise. First job. Bye now. Hi folks. Wednesday afternoon. Once again I got called away to take the missus to a 12 o'clock appointment because it was raining and windy. So I've got here, it's just gone 2 o'clock and there's nothing else for it but to put this stuff on. Now if you look at this, you can see touching at the outer edges but low in the middle. I know this is not a very technical straight edge, but it's near enough. So all I need to do is to fill the striations and we should be good to go after some scraping. Now what I'm going to do is what we have here at this end is quite unworn length of bed. So I'm going to put the Belzona on there and then scrape it into this area. Right, and then when I've got that just about right, I shall look at filling this area here, because that's quite scarred and down as well, with a little bit. You see, you can still see flaking here, even though it's striated, you can still see flaking underneath it. So I think I can get enough up to about there to scrape it in on, just to get it flat again. And then I'm going to look at filling that as well, because that's a right mess. But it's not particularly low. Once again, it's alright there and it's alright at the outer edge, but it's scoured in the middle where there's been cuttings jammed underneath the bloody jammed underneath the saddle because there's no way wipers on it. Well, that's something that I can correct, although they're going to have to go below. Geez, can I? They're going to have to go below the T-slots, aren't they? I can put ones on the V-way, which is not badly worn by any means, but the back one, I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. They're going to have to go below that T-slot. Surely there's something I can do. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Right folks, I'm on. I'm not going to film this because I've got 5 minutes working time with this type of Belzona. I've got 5 minutes, so I've got to mix it and get it on within 5 minutes, otherwise it goes off. Right, off we go. I'll bring you back when it's done. Bye now. And there we go folks. It's on and it's gone off. And that's inside 2 or 3 minutes. Now I'm wondering if this might be slightly old stock, or if I put too much, maybe a little bit too much hardener in. It says equal by volume, and I tried to get it equal by volume, so I'll try a bit less hardener next time. But that's gone, and that's a fairly good even coat. Mainly as I said, it's filling the striations. So I'll have a clean up now and we'll see what it's like. Although I'm not going to do anything with it till tomorrow. I could clean that area up and put some on there, because that area is very, very worn and low. But as you can see, it's been running on there and this edge here, and that's just terrible. But there you go. Pleased with that. Went on well, scraped on smoothly. Did a smooth scrape all the way down it. Obviously there's going to be high spots and low spots, but I'm pretty confident that we can do this. What this stuff is, obviously it's a 2-pack. The base is a resin which is filled with silicon steel powder and a hardener, which I assume it's either a chemical reaction, but it usually just produces heat. So what I need now is some clips to clip that over, and I've forgotten to bring them with. Right folks, Wednesday evening, just gone 4 o'clock, and I've had the call to come and pick me up, so I've just been cleaning up this casing, working out where it needs to be repaired, because it should wrap around there, and putting the quadrant on. Now luckily the 127 tooth gear goes on there, so there will be room for it, obviously, because it has a 127 in the kit, because this lathe will cut metric threads. So in fact it's set up to cut metric threads, so it would be part, the 127 would be part of the kit. Now the gears I've got are partly originals, which have got black painted centres to match this, and partly they look like Myford ones, which are just as good, every bit as good. Bit of an odd selection, but I've got some, so there we go. So I was just sussing this out and working out where the repairs are needed and where the wraparound is needed, obviously there. And I got the phone call to go. So that's it for today. I've got the Belzona on, that's now curing. I must admit it looks a lot better. What it'll scrape up like I don't know, but there we go. It's all experience, isn't it? Learning all the time, as my friend Alf Becker used to say. Learning all the time, Phil. Learning all the time. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Morning, folks. Thursday. Disaster. Where's all the Belzona gone? Well, the answer is it all flaked off, and it was working so well, because when you put it on the bed and slide it backwards and forwards, it picks up, you don't need to blow it, it picks up black marks on all the high spots. And I was just working away when suddenly a big lump of it came off. And the reason was I didn't follow the instructions. It says that on surfaces that have been coated with oil, you must burn the oil out of the metal with a flame. If you look at that patch, can you see that? Can you see that patch there? Right, that looks like it's sort of tempering colours, but it isn't, because it wipes off. And what it is oil residue coming out the metal. So whether we shall get a bond to this or not, I don't know. But I'm going to keep warming it gently and cleaning it. You can see on this cloth what has come out of the metal. And I'm quite astounded that when I first warmed it, it just bubbled out and literally liquid ran over the surface. So I'm going to keep, I mean this is only hand warm, I'm going to keep very gently warming it and cleaning it, and then warming it and cleaning it, and I'm going to see if I can put another coat on. So there you go. It's a pain in the arse, but we're learning all the time. Right, catch you later. Well folks, I don't know, we may be onto a non-starter here. This is the I've been cleaning it with this is the alkaline parts cleaner degreaser, right? Very strong stuff. Don't get it on your fingers or your face, right? That's neat, and I'm painting that on, and then I'm cleaning it off, and then doing it with the blow lamp, warming it up with the blow lamp over the surface, and I'm still wiping this off. That's oil coming out of the metal. So whether we'll be able to get enough out to make it bond to it or not, I don't know. So this could be dead in the water, but I'm going to give it a fair crack, because it went on beautifully, and it went on beautifully flat, and it marks up lovely when you just work it backwards and forwards on the unworn portion of the bed. All the high spots go black, and you can just scrape, 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 and they come off. But that's the sort of thickness I'm putting on. Just enough to fill the striations. Very thin, but it's not going to bond to the metal because there's oil in it, and if I can't get the oil off, then I probably won't be able to do it. In the meantime, I've cut 4 bags, I'm knackered, I've cut 4 bags of ash firewood, and I've been having to tidy up outside, ready for the inclement weather. So I shall go and continue with that. Now I've put another layer of degreaser on this, and let that sit now. I'll go and continue with that, because I had this to do today anyway, and I thought I may as well just crack on with it and do it. Right, I'll bring you back later if I get any more done today. Bye now. What a pain. This is what I've been doing, folks. Tidying up, and all the firewood that I've been cutting was under here. So I've had a good sort out and a sweep up and cut bags and bags of ash kibbles. Ash, the best burning wood you can get. I've also picked a few apples because I was asked for some. And I'm just going to finish tidying this bit up. It's 4:30 and then I'm going to go home. So there you go, I've got this to sweep up yet. And I've just given the this another clean, and it's still coming out. And I'm just offered this lot up and see how it fits well. And I'm just trying to suss out. This is a brake. Now there should be a spring underneath it, which is missing. I think I've got the spring, but I think it's absolutely crushed and horrible. But that's the brake, and that operates. Can you see that there? You can if I move my bloody arm out the light, can't you? That operates like that by being pressed down against the spring, then snaps up again. But if you see where those two holes are there, those two holes I gather are to bond in a brake pad of some sort. So I'll have to have a look, see what I've got in friction material and bond a piece to it. But it won't have to be very thick because there ain't much room there. But there you go. Anyway, this is the way you slap your hand down and put the brake on when you're working with collets. Of course, working with a chuck is a different ball game altogether. But there you go. Right. Okay. I'm going to call that it for today, and I'll see you all tomorrow because I'm just going to finish this tidying up. Then I shall bugger off and leave that soaking overnight with the can you see that? Can you see this brown stain here? You can, can't you? That's the oil coming out of it. That's it dissolving the oil out of it. That's it dissolving the oil out of it. It just comes, you wipe it off and it comes up more and more and more. So whether I shall ever get enough of it off to make it bond, I don't know. I mean, it's not tragic if I don't, because it shows very little wear, but it's very badly scored, and I'd like to make it so that the scores don't do any more damage to the bed of the lathe. But there you go, maybe I can and maybe I can't. Right, on we go. See you tomorrow, folks. Bye now. Right, folks, Friday. Re-Belzona'd after many cycles of degreaser, thinners, electrical degreaser which claims to be MEK and leaves no residue, and heating. After many cycles, it finally started to come off clean, and now I've got more confidence in it. We'll have to wait and see, because I'm going to probably leave that over the weekend to cure, because it needs 48 hours to cure. So there you go. Right, so I'm on with, why does this gearbox make a funny noise? And the answer is, I don't bloody know. But I'm going to reassemble it and see if it still does it, because with the cover off I can't get it to make the noise. And the only thing I can see is that that has been at the wrong side of the gear. It's not actually been over the gear. So I'm going to see that it appears that the noise is that gear just touching against that one. So I'm going to reassemble it and see if it's okay, and I'll bring you back when I've done it. Okay, bye now. Problem solved, people. Careful assembly and looking proves that this whole rig in the out of gear position wasn't far enough that way, and strangely, whilst all the others were pinned or brazed, this one appears to be pressed on, and with a careful tweak with a adjustable spanner on there, it just squeaked and went round a bit further. So now I'm going to reassemble it and see if it still rattles, and I bet you anything it won't, because it was just holding the gear, or allowing the gear to move far enough to touch the other gears when it was running, which is no good at all, especially not with phosphor bronze gears. Right, I'll put it back together and I'll come back to you. Bye now. There we go folks, out of gear and perfect silence. The gears are no longer catching. It just took a little tweak of 1/8 of an inch and you could hear it squeak around on the shaft. It looks like that one is shrunk on, and it's not been shrunk on quite in the right place. And a little tweak further round and we've got a perfectly silent gearbox, no more gears catching, and when you move it to in, it's in gear. So happy, another problem cured. I can now put the detent back in. Right, so it's going together, and it's going together better than it came apart. I'll bring you back later when I've done some more, but first it's cup of tea time. Bye now. Right folks, strike one. That is MIG weld. And I've also done the other side. I've V'd out both sides and I've MIG welded it. Now I can hear the jeers and the, oh it won't last, it doesn't work. Well, I'm sorry, but it does work. I've done this before on castings, but it usually works best on decent quality cast iron, and this is decent quality cast iron. But what you do is you clean it up, you V it out, and when you V it out, if the V'd out edge looks like steel, in other words it has no greyness and no freckles to it, it will usually MIG weld quite successfully. I've done both sides, I've V'd it out deeply, and what you do is you do tack, 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 and then you start again at this end and you fill in between the tacks, and that's what you get. I'm not taking any more off that, that's near enough. The other side is good as well, I'll show you that. Right, I did this the first time, desperation, on a, and here's a piece of crappy cast iron for you, a Land Rover exhaust manifold on a Series 2 which had clamps over the bolts, and the clamps had toes which pressed down on lugs on the manifold, and 2 of the lugs on my manifold was broken off. I didn't even have the lugs, so I made some pieces of steel to match, right, and I MIG welded them on. Lots and lots of cleanup, but I mean exhaust manifolds are poor quality cast iron, they definitely are, and I MIG welded them on, and I tightened the clamps down. I fitted a new exhaust gasket, I tightened the clamps down, and those repairs were still there and still perfect 4 years later when I sold the Land Rover. So it can be done. It's not going to work every time, and it's down to the quality of the cast iron. Sometimes I can't understand how that worked, but it did, and this has worked as well. This is a very good, that's a solid repair. There won't be any problem. There's no cracking. It's cool. It's not quite, oh it is actually, it's now quite cool. It's cooled completely. No cracking. You listen carefully. Keep it warm with a blow lamp if you want to. But, I mean, I did with this. I kept it warm, let it cool very slowly. It's cooled over about an hour. And of course the setup is very important on this, because of course we've got flat surfaces, we've got 2 flat surfaces, but it fits perfectly to the surfaces, so I'm quite happy there. So that's another job done. So let's hope that lasts. I'm sure it will. But what good quality cast iron, what beautiful quality cast iron. It really is nice. Smooth, so smooth. It's not been fettled, it's cast like that. And I'm sure it won't be cast steel. I'm sure it's not cast steel. But really beautiful surface finish on it. I don't know. It will be sand. It will be sand cast. It will be sand cast, and it won't be. I don't think it will be oil sand. They've just. I don't know. They've either sprayed the inside of the moulds, or they've used something to get the inside of the moulds very smooth, because the mould, the casting, you can see it's not had a lot of fettling, and it has a little bit of filler over it on the outside. But there you go. Right, I won't rabbit on anymore, bragging about my welding skills, which are, I have to admit, even after many years, I can weld. I can weld TIG, I can weld MIG, I can weld oxyacetylene, I can braze, but I ain't skilled by any means. I can usually do it, and I can usually get away with it, but I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a welder by any stretch of the imagination. My welding is based on the power of my angle grinder. Right, see y'all later. Bye now. Right, folks, the witching hour is upon us. So I've just stripped the quadrant off again, and I've been deciding what to do. And what I'm going to do here, we have another fixing there, there's another screw and a pin. So I'm going to edit that about there, cut that off, put a new piece of steel in, something like this, but larger, so that it butts up against that one. I'm going to pick up that screw hole and that pin. Actually need a piece of I've got some larger steel that will do the job. Just needs a bit of milling off it. It'll match up almost exactly. In fact, I can make it match up exactly with that. Right, so cut that off there, put a piece in there through there like that, pick up this fixing and this pin. I'm going to have to drill a hole in it to go over that, so it's going to need a hole in it, and that will end there, somewhere like that. And then I'll probably need a curve on the end of it, and I can make another piece to go in there and go down, out and back in, which is what it looks like on the original. I've had a look at the ones on the Holbrook site, on the Holbrook groups. So it needs to go down there, out and back in like that. Now that I've noticed on the again on the Holbrook IO that on occasions for certain threads you need a 100 tooth gear on here on this shaft. Well, if you put a 100 tooth gear on there, I haven't actually got a 100 tooth, but I've got a 90 tooth, and it sticks beyond where that goes. So this would give you a removable portion that you could take off for putting bigger gears on there. So there you go. And with the cover's a bit strange because it's got these two big handles on it, and yet it's fixed on by two screws. So what I'm going to do is put two screw threads into the holes, and then I'm going to make a little nailed nut to go on each one. But if you look here, there's one with a thread in it. I'm going to have to weld a piece of round bar in the back of there, and then go through it with those punches that are for aligning holes. Go through it there, centre punch the bar, drill it and tap it, and then I can put a thread in there, and we've got a second. We get our second fixing back for the outer cover. It's a bit drunken is that thread, and that hole's drilled right off the side. So I don't know whether that's not been a repair. That's been original, and it does line up perfectly with the cover. But that's all for next week. So that's the end of this week, folks. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please subscribe. I'm picking up lots of subscribers. Welcome aboard to all the new subscribers. I think there was about 6 or 8 last week. So welcome aboard everybody, and I hope you're enjoying what I'm doing. And I'll see you all on Monday. Bye now.